day. Our foreheads touch the ground in prayer. We beg for what's most important in our lives. We want to be good people, better Muslims. We want to serve Allah Almighty with all our hearts. In this show, Let's Talk, every week we're going to talk about Islam and life, how to relate with other people and how to serve Allah. We'll have studio guests, we'll have a live studio audience. There'll be an email for you to write to, talk@huda.tv. So if you're looking for something different, looking for something that will make you think, maybe even touch your heart, this is the show for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Through his night journey, the Prophet ﷺ told us that he had seen the heavens and hell. And scholars had their different opinions regarding this night journey, Isra wal Mi'raj. Some of them say that the Prophet ﷺ made this journey only with his soul, but not with his body. And this is not true, because if he made it with his soul, then it was like a dream, and we also in our dreams go different places. So there's nothing so special in a person seeing things in his dreams. The authentic opinion of scholars that this journey was made by his soul and body, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this does not mean there were other journeys with his soul. So the journey with the body was done once, but the journey with the soul took place a number of times, where the Prophet ﷺ told us in a number of hadiths that he had been to the heavens and that he had seen paradise and hell. For instance, the Prophet ﷺ once said to his mu'adhin, the Abyssinian mu'adhin, whose name was Bilal ibn Rabah. He said, "O Bilal, tell me what good deeds you have so special that qualified you, to the extent that I heard the sound of your shoes ahead of me in paradise, or the flip-flop, the sound of your flip-flop in paradise." So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us about an incident where he entered paradise and he heard this sound of the shoes or the flip-flops of Bilal. So Bilal said, "I don't have anything extra, O Prophet of Allah, except that whenever I nullify my wudu, whenever I pass wind or answer the call of nature, I see that it is Allah's right on me that I perform wudu again and pray 2 rak'ah. So this is the thing that qualified him to go to paradise." In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ told us that he went into paradise with the angels and he saw a very big, white and beautiful house with a maid outside of it. And he liked the house. So he asked the maid, "Who are you for?" And the maid said, "I belong to Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, and the father-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, and one of his best companions." So the Prophet said, "O Umar, I remembered your jealousy, so I stayed away." Now this is all in paradise. Umar burst into tears, weeping, saying, "O Prophet of Allah, do I feel jealous from you? You are our master. Do I feel jealous from you? You are our father." This indicates that the Prophet ﷺ was in paradise and he visited that place. Unfortunately, we also are told about the things in hell, because the Prophet ﷺ told us that he had seen Malik, the guardian of hell, the angel responsible of controlling hell, and that his face was so grim, frowning face without a smile, because this is his job. And the Prophet told us ﷺ about some of the punishments that people are punished in hell. He told us once that he had seen a man lying down with another man carrying a rock and throwing it at his head, breaking it into two. And then the head comes back again, and the man carries another rock and smashes his head on and on and on. The Prophet ﷺ asked the angels with him, "Who's this man?" They told him that he is a man that sleeps over the obligatory prayer. He has been given the Quran, but he does not pray the obligatory prayer. So this is being done to him until the day of judgment. Another incident, the Prophet ﷺ saw a man opening his mouth and another throwing into it stones. And this man is swimming in a sea of blood, and he keeps on throwing this stone to his mouth, and he goes back, and then he comes back again to the shore, opening his mouth, and the man throws stones into it. So he asked, who was this man? And the angels told the Prophet ﷺ, it is the man eating usury, eating interest, dealing with riba. Imagine this punishment until the day of judgment, and on the day of judgment he will be thrown into hell with all the other sinners. This is a very serious warning to whomever is dealing with banks, whomever is dealing with un-Islamic banks that deals in riba, usury. This is one of the most major sins in Islam.
But Shaykh, in this case, what we can do if the number of Muslims living in United States or in United Kingdom or in European countries, they're using the cards, MasterCard, Visa cards. Without that, they can do marketing. So,
this is completely different story. Now, we have Islamic banking, and even banks that are not Muslim, they are using these divisions and departments because they found, first, that it attracts Muslims, and secondly, they found out that it is safer and more productive than the normal banking procedures they have. As Muslims living in the West, you are told not to take usury and not to pay it. So, if my credit cards, using my credit cards means that I'm going to pay interest at the end of the month or at the end of the 40 days, then this is forbidden. This is completely unacceptable. There are other Islamic alternatives. For example, there is what's called debit card. And debit card is a card that you deposit money. So, for example, you deposit 10,000 or 20,000, and whenever you go, it's exactly like the credit cards. You buy things with it, you pay things with it, and they deduct from your account until you have zero, then it is stopped. You have to put deposit. Borrowing with interest is a major sin. And both parties are alike in the sin. So the person taking usury is sinful, and the person paying it is sinful, and both of them are cursed by the Prophet ﷺ. And those who, the clerics writing this transaction are also cursed, and those who witness such a transaction are also cursed. They all share the same burden. So Muslims should stay as far as possible from such transactions. The Prophet ﷺ told us also about another punishment. A man sitting with another man coming behind him with a piece of metal that he puts in one side of his mouth, and he tears his mouth to his back, and with another piece of metal tearing his other side to the back of his head. And it's a horrible scene to see. And then it goes back again to normal. And this punishment is inflicted on him over and over and over again. So the Prophet asked, ﷺ, who is this man? So he was told that this man is a liar that says a lie, and his lie spreads all over the world among people. And this is being done to him until the Day of Judgment. Now, who would you think that would be the best person to qualify for this punishment? Who do you think would be appropriate person to be in this position? People working in the media, reporters, journalists. If they do not authenticate their news, if they spread gossip, if they just write things and slander people, and whatever they say is spread all over the world. If they don't fear Allah Azza wa Jal, the people working in the media, in the press, in the TV, and radios, then they will be punished this punishment, because they are spreading lies that go all over the world. And if a Muslim is concentrating to do the best thing and to say only the truthful thing, then of course he is definitely rewarded greatly. Also among the men and women that the Prophet ﷺ saw being punished on the Day of Judgment are the adulterers, those who fornicate, men and women. He saw them in an oven-like building or structure, which was narrow from the top and wide from the bottom. And they were all in that oven, in that furnace, and they were men and women, and they were nude. And fire used to light under them, under their feet. And they used to make noises and screams, and they tried to go up through that narrow place. And then the fire goes down, and they go down. And it kept on going on them off and on. When the Prophet asked, who were those, ﷺ? The angels told him, those are the one who commit adultery. And finally, the Prophet ﷺ also saw people with nails made of copper, long nails, and they're scratching their faces and scratching their skin all the time until the Day of Judgment. Imagine the pain inflicted on such a person. And it's not for 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. It's until the Day of Judgment. So the Prophet said, who are these? And the angels told him that these people backbite others. So they sit together and say, do you remember John or Jim? He did this and that and that. They say bad things about people in their absence, and that is why they are being punished in this manner. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program. Inshallah, we will meet next time. And until then, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mm-hmm.